So for those who are not familiar with who I am, my name is Katie Mankey. I am the Assistive Technology Instructor here at the South Dakota Rehabilitation Center for the Blind. For those who are not familiar with where we're located, we're here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then for those who are familiar with us, we have not moved. So if you're curious about our location, we're still at 2900 West 11th Street, Suite 101. So just wanted to put that out there. So first I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about my education. So I have a bachelor's degree in human development and family studies, and I have a minor in rehabilitation services. I'm currently halfway through a master's program with UMass Boston, where it's a master's of education specifically for vision studies and teaching people assistive technology for people with visual impairments. Um, so that's a little bit about me and my education. And so now I'm going to give a little bit of information about kind of what I do at the center for people who are not familiar. So I teach full time. So usually our hours are 8:30 to 4 for teaching clients that are attending training here. And then outside of that, I do host a monthly tech clinic. So I take one day out of the month, and then usually it's on a Friday, not always, but I try anyways. But it's one day out of the month where I block off an entire day with no clients here so that I can see individuals out in the community. And so people just need to let me know ahead of time, and I can schedule them an hour block. And so it kind of, those monthly AT clinics look a little bit different for everyone who attends. So it might be, hey, my charger's not working for my magnifier, or I just want to be able to see the text on my phone a little bit bigger, or it just really depends. Or maybe you need some help on with a Braille display or on the computer. It really varies. So as long as you just contact us ahead of time and let us know what you're looking for help with, and then yeah. So, but right now my next tech clinic would be July 11th, and it is already filling up. So if you do need help, or someone who needs help, let them know and we can get them scheduled. So another thing that I do here at the center is I help people with TAD applications, or applications for the National Deafblind Equipment Distribution Program. So if you're in need of any extra specific devices, or that relate to communication and accessing the internet, and you're not really sure how to go about that process, if you possibly qualify for one of these programs, that would be a good way to get you a device. So if you're curious about any qualifications or anything more about that, just let us know and I can get you some more information. And then a lot of the time with the TAD program specifically, individuals come looking for a new phone. And so, like I said, it has to be on the basis of communication. So emailing, texting, calling. If you're having difficulty doing that with your current device, if it's broken or something like that, it's just not a program where you want a new phone, you sign up for it. So there are some specifications that go along with that. But a lot of individuals, like I said, that are our clients do get iPhones and iPads from the TAD program, and so I do a lot of training with that. So the phones I do show today, and the tablets are going to be iOS based, so Apple, just because of that. But we do help with Android, so if you do have an Android tablet or phone, let us know, and we can help you in person with that too. So just a disclaimer. So there's a lot of devices I am going to be talking about today that I'm not even introducing, or we have so many devices here, we couldn't possibly fit them all in a video. So I'm just going to be showing you kind of some popular ones. And everything that I do show here today, you can schedule a time if you're curious about trying these devices. You can schedule a time for that monthly clinic, and that'd be a good time to come in and try them. A lot of these devices are expensive, so you want to kind of know what you're getting before you purchase those. So, but like I said, there are other devices we have that we're not showing today, so just feel free to reach out and ask. So, okay, that's kind of my spiel, but I am going to get started with devices. So I'm going to start with a Braille note taker first of all, and then I'm going to move on to kind of Braille displays. So if you're not familiar with what a Braille note taker is, it can be kind of described as like a Braille tablet. So many of them, most of them run on Android OS. And so the one I have here in my hand is a HumanWare Braille Note Touch. And so physically, this one has a carrying strap, and then it has some magnetic flaps on the side, and then on the front. And then once I remove that, then it's the interface. And so it has 32 cells at the bottom from left to right as corresponding cursor router buttons. If you're not familiar with what a cursor router button is, it's kind of, if you think about it like how to move, you can click on buttons first of all, but you can also move your insertion point. So if you want to go to a specific word. So that's on the bottom, and then it's the Perkins style keyboard. And then also underneath the Perkins style keyboard, there's a flap. And if you lift that up, there is a touch screen where you can actually do touch Braille. So it's kind of a neat little device. And the features of a Braille note taker, like I said, it's kind of like a Braille tablet. So this one specifically, like you have Keymail, KeyWeb, Keyword, or there's also mainstream apps like Google Docs or YouTube. And this one even has a camera and a flashlight on the bottom of it. So there's a lot of options with these. And like I said, there's things I'm not even talking about that these devices can do. So seriously, if you're curious, just ask. And then lastly, this can also be used as a Braille display, so you can connect it to your smartphone or the computer too. So. Alrighty, so next, this device is a little bit smaller. This is the HumanWare NLS e-reader. So what this is, a lot of people are familiar, but if you're not, you can get these if you're a patron of the National Library Services. And so it is a small little book reader, and it has 20 cells at the bottom. Your standard Perkins style keyboard, and it has a few different standalone features. So you can connect this to the internet, and you can get online services like Bookshare, NFB Newsline, or even Bard. And then there's a file manager, and then you can download books onto it as well. So it's a nice little portable book reader. But in addition to that, there is also, it also has functionality to connect as a Braille display, so to a computer or a tablet or a smartphone, like I said. It's pretty cool when you can use this on the Bard mobile app, and so you can read the Braille books that way too, which is kind of a cool function. But and so if you don't know what I mean when I say like these devices can be used as a Braille display, so they can be, you can use this Perkins style keyboard and navigate the entire device. So for example, if I had this connected to an iPhone, I could go on the internet, I could send text messages, I could access all my apps that are accessible just by using this one device. And then the output would be Braille. So I wouldn't even need to have the sound on if I didn't want it. I could just read everything, which is really nice. So, or send emails or whatever. So it's a lot of different variations of that. Alrighty. The next device I'm showing you is the Freedom Scientific Vespero Focus 40 Blue. So this one has a leather carrying case. The straps are not on. And then underneath, when I open it, it's a 40 cell Braille display from left to right on the bottom. There's those 40 cells. And just like the e-reader and the Braille Note Touch, there are cursor routing buttons as well on the bottom. And there's many other buttons, but this is the Perkins style keyboard, so you Braille input and then Braille output as well. And this one has a few different standalone features like the scratch pad and the calendar, but mostly it's just utilized for the Braille display feature, so you can, again, connect it to a smartphone, tablet, or computer. And then most of these you can either connect via Bluetooth or through the USB, the cord. So it depends on which way you prefer. And then with this one specifically, it's made by the same brand as JAWS and Zoom Text. So if you're familiar with those, Freedom Scientific. So their website has a lot of different information on the specific Braille display, since they make both software, or hardware and software. And then lastly, I'm showing you another Braille display, but this one's a little different. So the ones I've been showing you have the Perkins style keyboard, so the 6-key entry, but this one does not. This one has a QWERTY keyboard on it. So this one's called the Mantis Q40. It's by Humanware. So 40 as in 40 cells on the bottom, left to right, and it has those cursor router buttons as well. And then on the top, it has the QWERTY keyboard. It even has arrow keys and your function keys at the top as well. So it's a nice little device, and it has quite a few standalone features. So it has like a basic text editor, a basic Braille editor, file manager, book reader, calculator, and then on top of that, you can also connect it to a computer or a smartphone or a tablet. So common themes there. But very, very neat device though, because you don't have the Perkins style keyboard. You have that regular QWERTY keyboard. So that would be your input, and then your output would be the Braille. And then certain Braille softwares, like on the computer, you could use, if you're familiar with any Braille transcription software, you could use those JKL for dots 3 through 6, and then FDS for dots 1 through 3. So pretty cool device. So lots of talk about the computer. So we're going to demonstrate a little bit of things on the computer as well. And what I am showing you on the computer today are both free. So I'm going to talk about some options you can purchase, but I'm not going to show those. The ones I'm demonstrating, again, are free, which we like free. So, okay, let me just type in the password here probably. Okay, so I have Microsoft Word up just as a starting point. So the first screen reader I'm going to show you is the Microsoft Narrator. So you can turn this on by just using your keyboard, or you can do it with the mouse, but with the keyboard it's Control, Windows, and Enter. Oopsies, sorry, Shift. Oh,
Scan.
Stop. Okay. So, so Control, Windows, Enter will turn it on, and that's the same way it'll turn it off as well. So for right now, I'm just going to type the word hello.
No next heading. No next headed box.
I'm having issues. 1 second.
Exiting narrator.
Turn it back.
Document 1. Word with scan. No, scan off. Document 1. H-E-L-L-O. Space. Hello. Auto-corrected hello.
So as you could hear, I just typed the word hello on a Word document. And so a lot of screen readers are similar in the way, so a lot of keystrokes that you use with screen readers are actually just, like with the Windows computer specifically, are Windows specific. So if you know a lot of the keystrokes for the Windows operating system, you'll know how to use Narrator most likely. So there are a few different ones, but if you're familiar with like NVDA or JAWS, you should be able to run Narrator just fine. But like I said, screen reading software, so it was able to read that. You can read line by line, word by word, character by character, things like that. So
O-L-L-E. Cap H. E-L-L-O. Space. Hello.
So just a little reiteration of that. So, and the purpose of a screen reader is so that you would be able to utilize the entire computer just by using your keyboard, no mouse. So, a narrator, like I said, is just built into
Exiting narrator.
Windows computers. So, next, that's built into the Windows operating system that I'm going to show you is the screen magnification software. So that is called the Windows Magnifier or Microsoft Magnifier, kind of depends on what you like to call it. But so that's going to be the Windows key in the plus sign, and you just tap the plus sign once, and then you hold the Windows key and tap the plus sign as you want to increase the magnification. And so then as I go up, let's see here, check if the computer can see this. A little small, okay. Okay, how are we now? Okay, so I just magnified it and then I can go over here and I'm seeing I'm at 450%. And if I wanted to magnify it a little more, I could. And then if I want to decrease the magnification, I could just hold the Windows button down and then hit the minus. Oops, my start menu. So, like I said, those are just some built-in options for a Windows operating system. So if you're not looking to spend, big bucks on software, it's a decent option. So another free one for Windows computers is going to be NVDA. So that stands for Non-Visual Desktop Access. So it's just a third-party screen reading software. It's pretty good. So you just go online and you can download it that way through their website. And then now we're going to kind of talk about a couple other operating systems. So like the Chromebook. So that also has a built-in screen reader. It's called ChromeVox. So Chrome and then VOX as in Vox. So that's an option for the Chromebook. And then the MacBook has just VoiceOver like you would use on the iPad or the iPhone as well. So those are some options for just free built-in screen readers. For screen magnification software, like I said, there is the Microsoft magnifier, but there's also Zoom text that you can pay for. Oh my gosh, and I forgot JAWS for the Windows computer. You can pay for JAWS. I don't think I talked about that, so it's not free, but you can pay for it, and it's a wonderful screen reading software. But back to magnification. So you have Zoom text that you can pay for, the Microsoft magnifier that is free. And then you can also use Fusion, which is a combination of JAWS and Zoom text. So it's also by Freedom Scientific. So it's the same company, just a combination software. And then Zoom text, a lot of people feel like, oh yeah, Zoom text is a screen reader, and it is not considered a screen reader because it's not full speech. So it gets kind of confusing. It can get kind of borderline. So, but if you do need just magnification, a little bit of speech, Zoom text is a nice option as well. And then there are built-in speech options, partial speech options also for a Microsoft computer. So if you or Windows operating system, so if you need any advice on that, just let me know. For screen magnification softwares for other operating systems like the Chromebook, there is a magnifier that's just built in there. And then for the MacBook, there's also Zoom. So Zoom is also the same name for like the iPad and the iPhone with the magnification as well. So yeah, it really just depends on what you're looking for. So if you want a lot of bells and whistles, JAWS would be a good option. But if you're looking for a pretty basic free screen reader, NVDA or narrator would be just fine too. So it really, again, just depends on what the user kind of needs. But with that, there's also something called an access-driven menu program. And what that is it's an option to make your computer very simplified. So for example, on a Windows operating system, they have Guide Connect by Dolphin. And what that would do, it would make everything just very simplified and enlarged. So maybe instead of having to go to your start menu and then find an application or go down to the taskbar, everything is just right there front and center, and it's large, and then has large print as well, and then partial speech, or you can change the speech options. But so maybe all you see on your screen is email and the internet and your settings in Word, and that's all you need. So that's also an option, and that does cost, but there are free trials if you're ever interested in just trying those. But so those are just some computer options. And then as well, for hardware, there are a couple different options for like keyboards. So we talked about using Braille displays as keyboards. There's also, the standard QWERTY keyboard, and there's different levels of how tactile the keys can be. But there's also these, which are Zoom text keyboards. And so they have a high contrast on them, and they also have enlarged print. And these go with the Zoom text software, and we have quite a few at the center if you ever wanted to try them. But the one I'm holding right now is a black background with white lettering. And so this is a very nice contrast, and a lot of people enjoy using this one. And then there's also the same Zoom text keyboard, but it is a yellow background with black lettering, also enlarged font, and then large keys as well in high contrast. So those are some options. And then if you are maybe wanting a lower cost solution, instead of buying a whole new keyboard, there's also just stickers and they work really, really well. It depends on what contrast you need, obviously. And these are just a couple of the ones we have lying around here. And they're just small little stickers where you can physically just take them off and put them on keys. So maybe you need to sticker your entire keyboard, or maybe you only need the number pad stickered, or maybe just the enter key. It really depends on the person. But yeah, these are a more inexpensive option, which is really nice. And the sticker sheet I'm holding right now is it is a little bit larger print, but it's not like the largest it could be. But I don't know the specific size, unfortunately. But these ones are a yellow background they're very bold, and then they have black lettering. And then I also have white ones. So that's white background with very bold black lettering. And then I also have just black with very bold white lettering. So those are some options if you ever need to sticker your keyboard. And then another option, so these are really popular with like Macs, they're called skins, or commonly referred to as skins anyways. And so there's just kind of a keyboard layover. So they're not a permanent thing. You can just take them on, put it on, take it off as kind of needed. And it's very thin. So the one I'm holding right now is a very high contrast in large print. And then the contrast is white on black. So that's an option. And then another thing are thumb dots and locator dots and touch dots. So we have a very large selection of these. And so if you're ever curious about, you just need, you need to put stickers on your keyboard to identify certain areas, we can do that. Yeah, so it just depends on the person and what they can feel. If you have any neuropathy in your fingers or anything like that, maybe you need a little bit of a larger one or a more tactile dot. So it really depends on the person, but there are very small locator and touch dots, and there's very, very large ones, so they can get pretty big. So if you are ever curious about just trying some out, we can help you out with that. You can come to the center and we can put some on your computer or anything like that and help you kind of figure that out. But another common way of using these is just using them around the house. If you need to put one on your coffee maker, your washer, stove, those are just a few common ones. But so a lot of different variety there and options that you can do. So, but like I said, there's a lot of people that come in to my tech clinics and they're like, I just need to be able to find the F and the J. I'm like, we can do that. So I help them sticker that, and I don't charge for the stickers or anything like that. So with that, I'm gonna get into the phones. So first, and like I said, I do help with the Androids, but I'm only helping or showing iPhones today just because that's what we deal with a lot here at the center with the TAD program and everything. So I'm gonna make sure screen can kind of, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna be showing you kind of what I talked about with the access driven menu program. This is what is built into the iPhone. So you can actually transform any iPhone to this if it's current enough. And so this is called assistive access. And so as you can see on the home screen, it is high contrast. I have an enlarged time, so it's 129 and it has the time very large. And then the open button on the top is very large as well. So it's a little less difficult than the regular home screen. And so with assistive access, you can choose if you want the layout top to bottom, or you can also choose if you want it left to right, top to bottom. So you could have a row of two, so kind of a grid pattern. And then with assistive access, you can choose which apps you put into this. So just for the simplicity of this, I have calls, messages, Venmo, Safari, Notes, Calculator, Lyft, Hy-Vee, and Walmart. And so maybe if you only feel like you need 3 apps out of your whole iPhone, you could just put those 3 apps in assistive access, and that's all that would be available. So it is a really nice simplified option, and like I said, larger icons, larger print, and just it's a lot less visually overwhelming than the typical interfaces. So I'm going to show you calls, for example. And so here's what the keypad would look like. So it's, like I said, a lot more high contrast. And then the call button is really large. And then there's also a back button where you can go back a page. And then you can go to your contacts or your recents or anything like that. So it's a really nice option. Let me see if I can. I just typed in 605 on here, and it makes it very focused at the top. And then there's a large backspace button if you need as well. And one thing about assistive access, it is accessible with voiceover. So if you need voiceover and that more simplified mode, that's possible as well. So that's kind of that part, but I am going to just touch on other accessibility settings of iOS. So I'm going to show you voiceover with the rotor.
1:31 p.m. Passcode field. Try again. 0. Calendar. Friday. App switcher. Notes. Close notes. Welcome. Notes. Welcome. Closing notes. Settings. Active. Close settings. Closing settings. Notes. Double tap.
Okay.
Notes.
So voiceover is, like I said, the screen reader for the iPad and the MacBook and the iPhone. And so it reads everything on the screen, and it is mostly powered when it's on when you're using it on the iPad or the iPhone, mostly powered by gestures. So right now I have the iPad and it says, "Welcome, we are happy you're here." And so now I can read that with the voiceover gesture. So I'm going to flick one finger to the right.
Note. Note. Text field. June 27, 2000. Note. Welcome. We are happy you are here. June 20. Note. Welcome. We are happy you are here. Text field.
And then
Edit.
you can adjust how fast it speaks, what voice it speaks, all of that. But that's just kind of an option if you need that full speech in it. There's so many different customizations. So for example, if you aren't maybe able to do one of the gestures because you can't rotate your wrist or anything like that, they can be reprogrammed, which is really nice to kind of best suit your physical limitations. So with that, the accessibility settings go on and on and on. So there's vision, physical and motor, hearing. The hearing has some pretty cool features. So if you need to connect your hearing aids, you can do that. One of my favorite ones is the sound recognition. So that more recently came out within the last year, but it is the option for the phone to recognize and detect sounds around you. So maybe you can't quite hear when the doorbell rings or a knock at your door, you can turn that on and then it'll notify your phone like, hey, there's a knock at the door. Hey, someone's ringing the doorbell, or there's a fire alarm going off. So there's a lot of very cool features that you can do with the hearing. Live captions is another option, or physical and motor. So maybe you have you are not able to move your hands. There's voice control, which is pretty cool. So there's, like I said, so many options. So that could be, each of those could probably be their own videos. I'm not going to go into depth on those, but then there's also speech options. There's a partial speech option for spoken content, accessories. You can bring external keyboards and connect them to the phone. Siri, you can create shortcuts, assistive access. So there's just so many options. Another option is enlarged text. So I did forget to show you that when I had the iPad.
1:31 p.m. Passcode field.
Okay, I
0.
found this one for shortcuts options. Another option enlarged
0.
text.
0.
Check
0.
it out.
Okay,
0.
so as you can hear, we have Siri going off on one of my other phones. You heard me.
0. 6, 3, 2, 1, 0. 0.
So on this
June 27.
iPad, I do have the enlarged text. So you can have it enlarged like that, or you can have it, this is not actually the largest to go. So you can also have maybe meet in the middle and have it half the size or a quarter, or there's a large slider, so you can really customize it, but there's also contrasts and things you can change as well. But so that's kind of it for the different accessibility settings. Well, I shouldn't say that's it, but that's what we're covering today anyways. But now I'm going to kind of go into some different apps. So there are so many apps out there, but what I'm going to show you today is the magnifier app and then seeing AI. And we're just going to like verbally talk about the BARD app. So first I'm going to go with the magnifier app. So in my hand, I have a paper and it is the best chocolate chip cookies. And it is a recipe, and I printed it off, I think about a week ago. And then I have my iPad in my hand as well. And there is a magnifier app where it comes free with the iPhone, and then you can use it to magnify documents and things like that. But it has some new, very cool features that you can use it for. So it kind of makes the iPad, or it also works on the iPhone, but the iPad is, in my opinion, kind of similar to a video magnifier. And you can line the iPad. Do I need to come closer? No? Okay. You can line the iPad up with the document. Maybe we'll do it this way. And you can take a photo, and you can also magnify it if you need to, but you can take a photo. And then after it loads, you can actually have it read to you, which is really cool. So you can change the different contrasts. So so what I did so far was just take a picture, and I'm changing the contrast to like a white on black, which is heavily contrasted, or I have white on gray, or white on kind of a beige, and a white or black on beige, and then I also have black on white. And so you can also change the text or the background to other things if you need that. And then you can enlarge the text, which is pretty cool, but you can also make it smaller. And then lastly, kind of an OCR option.
June 16th, 2025, 9:01 a.m. The best soft chocolate chip cookies recipe, pinch of yum. The best soft chocolate chip cookies. Author, pinch of yum. Total time, 20 minutes. Yield, 12 cookies.
So I'm not going to go through the whole recipe, but that is such a cool update in my opinion, just because it takes place kind of, it honestly essentially makes your iPad into a magnifier and has those OCR options, especially if you maybe got your iPad from like the TAD program and you had that app downloaded. That would be a totally free option for you to access those features. So pretty cool feature in my opinion. And then like I said, you can magnify with your fingers. And then you can move the iPad around too. So this is just my case that's making it stand. And there's a lot of other options as well. But I thought that was kind of a cool little update and a little more cost efficient as well. And then another one, just keep the same. We're going to show, and like I said, that was the magnifier app. And so visually what the icon is, it's a black background with a large magnifier on it. So next I'm going to talk about another free app. It's called the Seeing AI app. And so this is a very, very common app, and it comes on the TAD phones as well. And this one, I'm not going to demonstrate all of the features because that would also take a very large amount of time. So
enabling Totten 0109 IES
I need to put this thing down. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the read feature. So the read tab has short text where you don't have to press any buttons. You can just move it around and it reads. So it was trying, to my left is a Juliet embosser, and so it was trying to read that. So that's why I had to put the phone down. But if I wanted to maybe read, let's see, I have a box over here.
Microwave BM 100% grain minute and steep. Microwavable minute whole grain BM 0 M11 rice serving suggestion par avail reason to celebrate.
Okay. So that's kind of the short text, but look, one thing I think is very cool is the document mode. So you can take a picture and scan a document.
Top and left edges not visible.
Turn on
voiceover. Selected.
Quick help. But take document take picture button. Take picture. Processing. Back button. Toolbar. Stop 16th, 2025, 9:01 a.m. The best soft chocolate chip cookies recipe. Pinch of yum. The best soft chocolate chip cookies. Play.
So it can just scan a document and then read that for you. And another very cool thing I think is on there is you can add pages. And so if you had maybe like a small pamphlet, maybe 5 pages, and you wanted to scan each photo, you could do that and then go through it and save it on your phone in your files. So very cool option. Then also has some OCR options for reading and things like that too. But like I said, I just took a picture of this recipe that I have hanging out here.
Back button.
And so
back.
another feature I'm going to show.
9:01 a.m. The best soft tab selected.
Another feature I'm going to show is the describe feature, so you can use it to describe your surroundings. So I'm just going to take a picture of my classroom.
Take picture. Take picture. Take picture. Processing.
Oh, it's really thinking today. There it goes.
The image depicts an office space with several pieces of furniture and equipment. On the left side of the room, there is a long wooden desk that runs parallel to the wall.
Yeah.
On this desk, there is a computer monitor mounted on an adjustable arm, a keyboard, and a printer. Below the desk, there is a set of drawers. In front of the desk, there is a black office chair with a mesh backrest and cushion seat, equipped with wheels for mobility.
Yeah, so it is so descriptive, and everything it said was exactly right. It just, failed to mention the amount of the hordes of cords I have laying around, which is probably a good thing. But so it is amazing. It used to not, in my opinion, I didn't think it was that descriptive in the past, but I think the most recent updates have just really brought the descriptions to life. So pretty awesome. And then in the more tab,
bar, more, selected, channel, product, adjustable.
So you can scan products and identify them that way. And so I have, maybe I won't tell you what can I have, so we can just scan and find out. So I'm gonna put the can in my left hand because I am right-handed, so I'm gonna hold the phone in my right hand, and I'm just gonna kind of, oh, it's starting to detect it. So I'm gonna kind of twist the can and then face the camera towards it, and it'll beep when I get close to the barcode. And it scans automatically.
Hy-Vee red beans.
Yep, Hy-Vee red beans. So very cool. And so if you're kind of curious about, all the cans you're covered, you could just go through with your phone with this free app and identify them, which is really cool.
Close button.
Okay, and then you can also do it with
button.
With boxes and stuff too. Okay, so next and lastly, I'm going to show you the currency reader.
Product, person, currency.
And so what you need to do for this, so like I said, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to keep the phone in my right hand and select with my thumb if I need to. And then I'm going to hold the money in my left hand, and I just need to make sure the camera's facing the money. So there's no buttons.
$1.
Okay, $1.
$5. $10. $20.
$20. So very, very cool. If you don't have your money folded or someone had just given you some cash, it's a good way to just kind of identify your currency that way. So. Alrighty. And then lastly, we're going to talk about Bard just quick. If you are curious about getting Bard, if you're interested in reading books or any other, book apps like Bookshare, anything like that, let me know. I work with Lori, the communications instructor, on Bard, so she can help fill out applications, and so can I. And then I can help train you on the app if needed, or with the e-reader. So, okay. So lastly, but definitely not least, I have the Meta glasses. So I'm going to show you today. So how the Meta glasses work is they are a pair of smart glasses, and then they are inside of a case. So this case is leather. It meets in the center, and that's where it folds up. And on the bottom, there's a charging port. So the glasses themselves do not get plugged into a charger, but they get plugged into the case, and the case is the charger, which is kind of cool. So as long as you have charged your case, and then you can bring the case with you, you'll be good if you just put the glasses in the case every now and then and charge them up. So I'm gonna open the case and pull the glasses out. So physically, these are just a very plain pair of frames. So they're black frames, clear lenses, and they do not have a prescription. And then on the right side is a touchpad. And so from front to back, if you swipe, you can adjust the volume. So if I swiped from the front towards the eyes to the back towards the ears one time, with kind of one flick of my finger, I could turn the volume down. But if I did it the reverse way, so one flick from my ear to my eyes on that bar, it would turn the volume up. And so these are activated by your voice. So it's kind of like any assistant like Siri, but instead it's Meta, okay? So you can use these for so many things. They're just so cool. But reading menus, recipes, documents, you can summarize documents, look at your surroundings. You can use them sometimes to read street signs. I mean, there's so many features, and then obviously the communication features as well, which are WhatsApp. You can message people on WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, regular cellular like text, call. You can have your music playing. It can identify songs. Like there's so many options. So, but what I'm going to show you today is how to use them to read a recipe card or document, the cookies one again, and then also read a restaurant menu. So, and then I'll also have it just kind of describe the surroundings you get of kind of a taste of that. So, my own glasses on. And then once you put them on your ears, you can hear it make a sound. And that kind of says, oh, hey, I'm awake and I'm ready. So the keyword is to say look. So, hey Meta, look and read me this recipe.
Here is the recipe. Best chocolate chip cookie.
Hey Meta, stop. So I'm gonna actually put the Meta glasses near the camera. And then I'm going to ask it to read this for you, and you should be able to hear it. So you may need to turn up your volume, or it might be fine. So just be prepared. Okay, hey Meta, look and read this document for me.
The best soft chocolate chip cookies recipe. Pinch Yum. The best soft chocolate chip cookies author. Total time 20 minutes.
Hey Meta,
Yield.
how many cups of flour will I need?
You will need 1 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour.
Okay, thank you. So that's just a very, very small piece of what it can do. So you can ask like, oh my gosh, like, hey, I'm out of flour. What's a good substitution? Or I'm out of brown sugar. What can I use instead? It could tell you that information because it also is connected to the internet. So it pulls data from the internet as well. And I like to tell people, these are AI. And so with AI, the more information you give it, it can give back to you. So just try to be extra descriptive if possible, and ask as many questions as you need. So with that, I also have a menu, and this is just it's an old Hy-Vee Market Grill menu. And so now I'm going to ask, I'll just maybe have Meta look and tell me. Let's see here. Hey Meta, look and tell me what's on this menu.
The menu appears to be from a restaurant and it includes a variety of appetizers, salads, burgers, and entrees. Some of the items listed include colossal wings, chicken quesadilla,
Hey Meta,
spinach.
what's in the chicken quesadilla?
The chicken quesadilla is made with a grilled flour tortilla filled with tender grilled chicken, cheese, and pico de gallo. It is served with sour cream, lettuce, and salsa.
Perfect. Okay. Hey Meta, look and tell me what I'm seeing.
You are seeing a table with a black surface and metal legs. On the table, there is a black book or folder with white text on it. The table appears to be in a room with gray or beige walls and a dark colored floor.
Alrighty. So, like I said, there's so many other things that the meta glasses can do. They can even do live translation, which is really cool. So maybe if I'm talking to someone who speaks Spanish, I could have the glasses actively translate that Spanish into English for my ears, and or vice versa. So maybe if I spoke Spanish, I could have it speak or translate into English. So, but that is just, like I said, just a little bit of what they can do. And I forgot to mention, they do have cameras on both the left and right side. So that's how they're actively taking photos. Yes, so and like all of these devices I showed here today, you are more than welcome to let me know if you want to try them. And these are relatively inexpensive. These ones I think were about $2.99. So comparatively, that is pretty inexpensive. So does anybody have any questions? Or in the chat, probably.
There was one earlier. How do we start the magnifier and voice narrator?
Oh, narrator. Okay, so when you're on, so there's just to make sure you're on a Windows computer, Windows operating system. To start the magnifier, you're gonna hold the start menu key. So like it looks like it's also known as the Windows key. So you're gonna hold that with one finger and then tap the plus sign one time and let go, and it should automatically start for you. And then if you want to increase that magnification, you're gonna hold your finger down on the Windows key and tap once at a time on the plus or the minus, however, which way you need to go. And then to start narrator, you're gonna hold Control, hold the Windows key, and then press Enter one time and then let go. It might take a minute and it should just pop up for you. And then it's gonna be the same thing to turn it off. So hold Control, hold Windows, and then press Enter, and you should hear it narrator closing for you. So, any other questions?
Is there a way to get help getting things like VisoBooks or Dome magnifiers?
So like help paying for them, or so there are a few different options. It really depends if you're an IL client or if you're a VR client. So maybe if you're comfortable, reach out to me and I can give you some more information if that works. There are also some options for leasing and stuff.
Can you show the iPad again with the voiceover and the large text?
Yeah.
1:53 p.m.
Okay.
No field. Try again. 0.
I'll show you.
Cancel.
I'm gonna
Cancel.
come up close if that works.
1:53
So
p.m.
it's on the home screen, so I'm just gonna unlock it. So I'm gonna
Back
press
no
the
field.
home button
0,
once.
6
This
value
is an
set.
older one, so it still has the button. And then I'm just using a split tap, which means I'm leaving my one finger on the screen and tapping with my other one. Because my password's all zeros.
June 27th.
So this is the Notes app, just for example. And I will go to the settings quick and then
Notes.
show you how to adjust the
Friday. Spotlight.
text
12
if you
item
need
setting.
to. So then you're gonna come down.
State of South. Airplane mode. White. Bluetooth. Notific. Sound. Screenshot. Control center. But display. Homes. Accessibility.
Oh no.
General. Accessibility. Button. Settings. Heading. Voiceover. Zoom. Hover tag. Display and text size. Button. Bold tag. Accessibility. Back button. Display and text size. Bold text.
And all I'm doing is swiping to the right and double tapping if I want to go to something. And so if you swipe to the right, larger text, double tap.
Larger accept display and text size.
And so it
Back-
tells you
larger
if it's on, first of all, and then you can swipe to the right
100% adjustable.
and get to the
Swipe up or down with one
the
finger to
slider. And so like it just said swipe up or down. So if I want to turn it down
91, 82%.
and make that text a
73%.
little smaller, that's how I do that.
Alert.
These,
Cancel. But notes. Welcome.
and
Notes.
then this is it would
Note.
substantially
Note.
decrease
Welcome. We are
that.
happy you are here. Text field. Double.
Does that clarify everything for that? And if you have more questions or want further training in that, let me know. Any other questions?
We just put Katie's info in the chat. If you need to get in touch with her, feel free to use that. The next tech clinic is on Friday, June 11th. So if you're interested in attending that, sorry, July 11th, give us a call or email Katie.
Yeah, and with my phone number, you can call or text me. It depends on what you're comfortable with, and then also email. So, but yeah, so hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming, but that was just a lot of different things all at once. But just so you get kind of a taste of some things that are available. So, okay, thank you guys.